This was routine every day. We test our players every day. I get tested every day. I feel fine. I felt fine. I was very surprised, by this. Still doing everything possible to get ready for the Georgia game. I'll have normal meetings tomorrow. Everything will be on Zoom. Sark's kind of filling in my absence for anything that needs coordinated in the office. But we're going to do everything we can to help our team, get ready to play. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to play out when the game comes, whether I can have communication with people or not. We'll have to research and sort of figure that one out. But we did have a plan for each coach on the staff as to what might happen, and we just got to go from there.
Well, let's make 100% clear all the things he just said there. They're playing Georgia this weekend. It's the biggest game of the year. It's 2 against 3 in the country. Sark is Coach Steve Sarkisian, who it would appear Heather Dinich, Paul Finebaum, and David Pollack is going to be running the matter in Nick Saban's absence. Heather, you were on that Zoom call with Saban. What more can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that if he's not watching your show right now, Greeny, he's breaking down film of the defense from practice yesterday. He reminded everyone he's feeling fine. He didn't leave the country. He's right down the street, and he's going to continue to help them prepare. But as you mentioned, Steve Sarkisian is going to be calling the plays on Saturday, and he's pretty much running the day-to-day from the football building while Saban weighs in from home. And if he's following CDC guidelines, which I imagine he will have to do that for 10 days.
So to make it 100% clear, and Nick, if you are watching, get well soon, but in the event that he is working on the game, to make it 100% clear, Heather, is there any chance he winds up on the sideline on Saturday?
No, not if he's following CDC guidelines, because again, it requires, and the SEC requires a 10-day isolation at home. Now, the other thing is that there is a rule in the NCAA football rules that was provided to ESPN.com yesterday from the SEC office, saying that the coaches cannot have communication unless you are in the press box to the field. So by rule, Saban is not allowed to call into the game on Saturday. He's not allowed to Zoom in on Saturday. And that rule goes into effect 90 minutes before the start of the game when the officials take control of the game until the end of the game when they blow the whistle and the score is final. So his communication is limited to practice this week, not in game.
And again, it's the biggest game of the year, 2 against 3 against their arch rival and his former assistant, Kirby Smart. Paul Finebaum, I come to you. No one talks to more people in the SEC and more people who care about the SEC than you do. What reaction were you hearing on your show yesterday?
Shock, Greeny. When the story broke about 5:45 Eastern time, everything in the South, and it really in college football, just came to a screeching halt. We've heard many coaches, 6 or 7 already get COVID, players by the bushelful. But when Nick Saban got it, it really sent a pall over the sport. And it's so interesting to see what is going to happen next. He said very clearly yesterday that he'll take another PCR test today and tomorrow. And I don't know what happens if it turns out to be a false positive 2 days in a row. Heather was correct. CDC guidelines do prevail, but I've covered the SEC for nearly 40 years, and what coaches want to do down here trump anything else, including the CDC. I'm not suggesting Nick Saban is going to be at the game, although his family has a box, but this is the biggest game of the year, and crazier things have happened.
Okay, yeah, that was sort of what I was hinting at when I was asking that to the first place. So, David Pollack, let me come to you. Let's just assume that Nick Saban is not there. He is not physically present, and as Heather said, can't have practically any interaction with the team on game day. What impact do you think that has on this game against Georgia?
Well, Saban's not a caretaker. Like, he's not a guy that's just the rah-rah guy and doesn't have his hands in on everything. Everything runs through Nick, like everything. And talking to, I talked to a coach that was at Alabama, that one of the things that was surprising, the coin toss is directed by him. Which way they're going to kick, warm-ups, like everything that goes on, injured players, everything goes through Nick Saban. So this will definitely be different. And I think just from a presence standpoint, how many times have we seen Nick chew guys out on the sidelines, chew coaches out on the sidelines, and bring energy and not take certain things? And the guys are you're always looking over like, oh God, like Dad's mad at me. Like, I got to make sure I step up my game. So I think this is huge, man. There are some coaches that it wouldn't be as big of a deal. This is an enormous deal for Alabama and the Crimson Tide.
Quickly, Heather, someone asked me this question, and it's a good one. Should Alabama lose this game in a close game, what consideration would the College Football Playoff Committee give to the fact that they played it without their head coach?
It would absolutely be considered, just like during a, quote, normal season when they take into consideration star players that aren't on the roster. But you have to remember who comprises the selection committee, because their perspectives matter. Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland is on the committee, so he can bring the perspective of an administrator who currently has everything paused because of 21 positives at Florida. Then you have former players like Penn State's John Urschel and a coach like R.C. Slocum who could bring the perspective of what it's like to play and go through a game without a head coach. All of those perspectives at the table will matter, but they will also pay attention to the game. Is Alabama's defense any better, with or without Nick Saban? It's one piece of the puzzle, but will certainly be considered.
Quickly, for both of you guys, Paul, what should they take into account with Saban not there?
Well, I think it will be a factor, but here's the thing to keep in mind, Greeny. If Alabama loses this game and then wins out, let's say they meet Georgia again in the SEC title game, then I think Saban's absence will be moot. Alabama will still be in the playoffs. So as important as this game is, it's not the last game of the season or next to the last game where it could really impact. I think there's just way too much time and unpredictability for this one event to have a significant impact on the college football playoff.
But another, like David, which is a bigger deal? Super quickly, not having your coach or not having your quarterback, for say? Which would be more considerable if you are someone making that kind of decision?
Well, I'd rather not have Nick Saban than not have Trevor Lawrence, if you're going that route. But listen, I want to say every game matters, Greeny, because it's supposed to. This game really with Georgia, as long as it's close, both these teams change. It changed nothing about either one of these teams' seasons. Both of them still very much in the mix, can win in December in the SEC championship game, and still go to the playoffs easily.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.